Good. Okay, so I can do this here. Hi, this is Mo Love True here. It's January 10th, 2019, and I'm actually watching, let's see, on the live air traffic, my son took off today. There was a bit of a delay, about, let's see, 2 hours and about 43 minutes delay. And let's see, I wonder if I could show. This is kind of the landscape that is being missed. Let's see if I could turn the monitor here. Let's stop and see if I can turn the camera without unplugging everything here. So see if we can see this snow. Stay put. Let's see. Okay. So there's the snowscape. Oops. If I lift the curtain up, and we can see some snow there. Oh, there we go. So that's actually what my son had to take off in, and that's what's been the delay. So set up here again. But really quickly, see our kitchen. There we go. Let's see. Yeah, so had a great holiday season with my son here. And let's see, the first week we were here, we actually forgot to turn the heater on, and I didn't realize how cold it is that we have the place. Excuse me a moment. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so basically, my son arrived on, he flew out of San Francisco on the 24th and arrived on the 25th. And then we did a few activities over that weekend. During the weekend visiting places like museums. Let's see. Actually, I have a whole bunch of, I'll just grab it. So some of the things that we did. Pull this here. Pass. Okay. So we visited little places just nearby, and what he really wanted to do was go into the snow. And today with the snow, it's actually what we're that probably would have been a good day for him to have arrived or to come later in the winter season, but this is his holiday or winter break. Anyway, I thought I'd share all that, but it's just like a pile of we don't need to go over all of the itinerary that's happened already. The only curious thing that I saw that was of interest anyway was I was on we were riding our way up to Titlis, which is a mountain. Yeah, it's got some winter sports activities. And into the glacier. Share the map here. Well, it's really not a. I'll try to find a link and see. My camera's not so great here, but basically there's a whole bunch of winter activities to be doing. I've never visited a glacier and now kind of melting. I'll have to say, what I did experience when I was in the glacier that's at Mount Titlis is I put my hand on it and there was, it's very smooth and it has a life of its own. It's very, how did it feel? The way that the glacier was projecting itself was that it's as a service, and that was the impression that I had gotten when I put my hand on the glacier. Now, the only reason why I'm mentioning that is because I was trying to reconnect with those things that are being capitalized on, and realizing that a big part of what happens to those things that are being capitalized on, they do have a presence, and it's really a matter of identifying, connecting, having permission to access this feeling that I was picking up from the glacier is that it was just there, and it's almost like it's forgotten. It has forgotten. It's been left alone for so long and capitalized on for so long that I was not really picking up that it had feelings for its situation. And so I sort of sent it love, and that's all that one can do, is send out good intentions. So my son was here for about a little more than 2 weeks, and he really enjoyed himself. He got to feed himself quite a bit, so that's why I'm a little plump myself. And it was good to see him, spend time with him, and I was sort of coming to terms with what is it that this information that I had gotten before he came, before he arrived, and that goes back to early December, if not November. And it comes, let's see, a big part of what I've been picking up is that my son is a product of a situation that I should not have become pregnant in. I should not have at that time. I was on a different track, and there was this interference, and there were actually two attempts by two different individuals. And one of them happened to be my son's father. Now, when a situation such as rape comes up, it's really to be able to identify, is it me? And that's where I go back to those frequencies from the Sutro Tower, and that would be the reason why life turned out the way it turned out for myself at that particular time and location. If I were anywhere else, it's hard to say. The infrastructure for frequency bombardment is very prevalent, and most places that I have lived, it seems to be set up in a similar situation. It's the technology is all the same, but the delivery systems happen to be varied. Yeah. Anyway, some updates. So, first of all, this is the Smo Love True YouTube channel, and I just upload Tony Pantelaresco's podcast. I'm actually, let's see, now that I found out my son has his flight took off okay, and let's actually watch that. Let's see, share. Yep. I like to keep track, and that's so much better than just looking at me. Okay, yeah, so what I basically have here is wanted to make sure his flight got off okay, and was thinking, oh my gosh, is it that he's here because we need more light here? He's going back to Berkeley, and I feel like it's a different situation that he's going back into. I feel very optimistic about it, and it's almost like it's okay if I die, and I know he's going to be okay. There's no problem about it. We played Scrabble and we played chess, and it's so refreshing. I'm so relieved that he's so much further ahead than I am, than I ever could have gotten just on my own. And I want to bring this back to, I never would have had my son if this certain situation didn't happen back in '96. And so that's where I have this kind of a unusual thought process where I thought, this incident happened, and I think about those little baby birds that go into another nest and lay their eggs there, or they bring their eggs to another nest so that a surrogate bird mother will look after their baby. And let's see, I'm still wrapping my head around this because, I mean, I never would have had any kids if this incident didn't happen. So I'm the type of individual, not a corporation, but just that I would not abort because of the situation, and I did not adopt to separate. I actually feel like there's something inside of me that wanted to take care of this child. And so I took that upon myself. There were many options that I could have taken, but I chose, or maybe I was chosen because I would, um, follow through with motherhood. And that's a very, every individual is different, and um, people have their choices of what they do. Now, what's critical to sort of piece together is my son's father is a descendant from the those who came off the Mayflower. Those who came off the Mayflower were pilgrims, right? They were basically the um, those who would come off of out of Europe. So there's this English, Irish, Scottish, Dutch, French mix, and they would find themselves in Plymouth and settle and go further. Are they descendants of the Roman Empire that hijacked, or the Holy Roman Empire that hijacked the Roman Empire? That I'm not certain of. But what I am finding is it's an unusual, maybe it's not unusual, maybe it's very common. I'm just finding it a little challenging to wrap my head around this situation I find myself in. Mostly because let's see, I'm hoping that I've given my son an opportunity, but now that I'm on the private side, is this opportunity, did I enable him in this setup where they can capture him, right? Just one of the things that I'm sort of coming to terms with. A big part of what I'm finding here is that the year of the dog, which was basically last year, and it ends the end before February 5th, because by Chinese New Year, it goes on a lunar cycle. And we're entering into the 4,717 year, and next year, or I should say February 5th, will be the year of the pig, and that's actually the end of a cycle. It's the time when things get cleaned up, where there's a lot of weeding out and cleaning out closets and briefcases and any kind of stuff in the attic or basement that needs to be cleared out because it's no longer necessary. And it actually feels like that's sort of the timeline. And I hadn't really put that together, that the whole year is about clearing out. Now, the year of the dog was about unconditional love and about loyalty. For me privately, it became about more, yes, I've always been on one track, and really it's been about identifying the factions. So that's actually what today's talk is going to be about. I just sort of remember that's what I really wanted to talk about. Identifying the factions is fairly important and significant, mainly because I've been hearing a lot about China. I've been hearing a lot about Russia. I've been hearing a lot about even Republic and Christianity and Jews. These are all different, let's see, markers that need to be identified and just from my perspective, clarified. So let's see. First of all, with let's start with Christianity and Judaism. There have been a lot of good sources, and I'd actually like to pull up. Let's see if I pull this up. Yeah, let me pull up my YouTube channel here, and this is really just to show my subscriptions. Hopefully this is still coming out. A lot of my, let's make it bigger here. Oh, okay. So pretty much this is what I look at. So who again is this? This is my channel, which is Small Love True. And I'll go to my subscriptions. So pretty much, this is what I see on a daily basis. I take a look at I keep track of this channel, Volcano YT, because it's been showing volcanic activity all over the place, all over the planet. And also Dutch census. It goes over earthquakes. And now this is the one that I have been looking into. I follow quite a bit. I have to catch up on his videos. But Jonathan Kleck, I just come over to Jonathan Kleck. Now, Jonathan Kleck has very interesting perspective on what he's revealing. And what is interesting for me is, let's see, he's revealing this inversion that's being imposed, that there's an inversion that's been imposed on Christianity from the get-go. And that would be why my best guess is a lot of people turn away from Christianity, because there's something wrong with Christianity, and it's revealed in the details. So the one that he'd recently done, let's see, why did the chicken cross the road? That was a good one. Let's see, but this is the one that I would suggest seeing. This is the system of control.
Okay, this is sick.
And mainly what he's going over is he's actually showing what it is that's the control. Here's an excellent example. I come from a culture that we don't really touch or hug people. And I grew up without hugs. And when my dad gave me my first hug, I was 18. I was like, ew. So that's kind of what I grew up with culturally. My dad is Okinawan Japanese. Okay, so in a nutshell, what Jonathan Kleck is talking about here is about, he's talking about how it's the uterus, or not the uterus, it's the vagina. The vagina that basically takes seeds for this controlling faction, whatever it may be. It's the energy, right? And so all that's really needed, and I believe a lot of people are in alignment with this, it's that all we really need is unconditional love, acceptance, and contact, if that's okay. Um, while my son was here, I gave him a hug when he arrived at the airport, and I gave him a hug when he left at the airport. So he got 2 hugs out of me for this whole time that he was here, and it hurts. All we really need is physical contact and hugs. It doesn't have to be a sexual hug, it's really just a hug of acceptance. And we were sitting on the sofa, and he's kind of splayed out. He's like, he's bigger than the little boy I am used to growing, having been with. And so he's splayed out on the sofa, and the sofa is really only made for 2 bodies, but he sort of takes up, he's sitting right in the middle. So I come and sit down next to him, and then his thigh is touching my thigh. So we're like sitting side by side, in contact with each other. And there's like this this feel-good hormone that comes out. I'm sorry, it just sort of evaporated from my head, but it's a good feeling to have that contact, and that's really all that's needed to oxytocin. So oxytocin is being created just by this physical contact. And to go further than that, to get sensual and sexual about it, is to participate in this sort of creation, the theft of seeds. It becomes like what created my son, right? So I wanted to bring that out mainly because, and if you could add this to your video list of what to watch, the system of control is excellent. I'll just put this in okay, I've got it on private side. Yeah, watch later, and I'll watch it later too, because it really does put things in a nutshell of what this whole system, and especially what Jonathan Kleck has been talking about and revealing on his channel. Now, he's talking about inversion of the Christianity as a religion, and there are a lot of good Christians out there who want to see only those good parts, but it is important. Doreen Dotan is another one. Let's see if I can find her. There's a lot of videos I hadn't viewed. Oh, she was here in this next one. Okay, here she is. It's actually getting closer. Let me just get to her channel, actually. Doreen Dutan. She actually explains it well here. I appreciate her work because she lives at Shpatin, Israel. She is Jewish. She's not Ashkenazi Jewish, an Ashkenazi Jew. And I think the big takeaway is that she, in this video, is explaining how it is that Christianity has been. She doesn't explain it here, but it's significant to recognize that Christianity is under the control of the Catholic Church as well as Muslims, right? Because these are, it's in the architecture, which I can look at here in Zurich and see and identify, oh my gosh, is that a Catholic church? Why does it look like some kind of synagogue? It's a big mind twist, right? And this is where I've really come to appreciate her insight and just setting the record straight between Christians and Judaism. It might not be necessary to view all of her videos, but once I saw her video on, I think it was the Rothschilds, oh yes, Meet the Rothschilds bosses. She did a 1 and 2, and that's significant mainly for the links that are in the video description, her video description to those in those talks. I think I put those on, let's see, on a playlist. But anyway, I want to get back to the subscriptions here. Let's see. So my mentioning the Jonathan Kleck channel and Doreen Dotan is about this. It's about, there is one faction that's controlling all of this, and then those who have been controlled are actually hijacking or hiding behind the Jews, right? I've been watching a lot of content while I've had some time, and my sort of the end of the dog here, I'd like to bring out that it's important to identify the factions and who's hiding behind what. So that in a nutshell is what I wanted to mention about that. The other thing about, let's see, I'm still sort of going through things on, where is this? He's over here, Brandon O'Connell. This is an interesting channel. It's pretty hardcore for me, and I can only take it in small bites. He does have a lot of truth on here. The only issue that I have with Brendan O'Connell's channel is that all Jews it's not applicable. Applying the term all Jews should be put out. That's where I go back to during the time. And yes, there are those that are on the front pages. They're the ones that are being reported about, and they are the ones that is behind a lot of the mess that's been created and giving all Jews bad names. Then there are the other Jews that are in Ethiopia, other Jews that happen to be like Doreen Dotan. And it's significant to realize that not all Jews are created equal. The Ashkenazi Jews have, they're the hijackers. But otherwise, Brendan O'Connell has some very good information, and I appreciate my contact for having shared that with me. So Mountains and volcanoes. I haven't seen those. I can't really comment on those videos that I haven't seen yet. So I have a lot to catch up. What else? I think that's about it. Okay, this is where I had gotten. Okay, so we'll come back over here. Your time set. Get another 30 minutes for a month. Let's try again with the. So where is he going over the channel, the English channel now? Okay, that's good. So let's see. I'm going to be putting together Tony Pantalaresco's last 4 videos into one, so it's going to be a humongous file. And let's see. I actually started working on. I did a video conference on the 6th, which was Sunday, the new moon, with a woman from Lahaina. Now, as I get back to the faction about China, China Republic, it was actually the Jonathan Kleck channel who had mentioned that there was a commercial with Arnold Schwarzenegger and a guy named Ian with Bud Light, and they were in a ping pong battle to the death, and the winner would have this free concert with One Republic. So Jonathan Kleck did a great job on that, explaining everything, revealing all the little hidden, I want to say, highlighting the Cabal language. And let's see. So Republic, like in the Republic of China or the Democratic Republic of the Congo, anything with a 5-pointed star on it, like the Republic of China, or I want to say any of the flags with horizontal stripes. Horizontal is about being at war, and I think I'll save that for another time. But getting back to China, I feel like I can speak about this tiny bit about China Republic hijackers and the factions. Oh, hold on one moment there. So I'm actually going to turn off this tablet. Let me. Okay. So, okay, good. So, one way to identify particular factions is by what do they do with their landmarks. Are the landmarks left intact and a cave is created, or does this, are landmarks wiped away, cleared off, and made into a highway? What's done here in Switzerland is landmarks are left alone, just like historical, cultural sites, they're left alone, or at least the most recent vote was to leave them alone and leave them intact, not relocate them. And basically, there are caves natural formed caves, and then there are those caves that are actually created. We can think about the tunneling. There's the Gotthard Tunnel, and I think that was completed in 2017, January 2017, and it was over a decade of work to put a tunnel. It's such a long tunnel to go through. I get claustrophobic just being in the tunnel. It's like I'm waiting to get out of the tunnel. And that's one faction. Another faction, if you think about tunnels, caves, underground cities, underground spaces, that is one faction that has a sister faction on another continent, like South America, or in North America, where you've got a lot of hidden bases in Texas and California, and something's up with Colorado. So that's one faction, the faction that leaves the landmarks alone and works within. The other faction, or one of the other factions, is that they clear off mountaintops so that they can build on. They can build on the surface. Okay, that faction appears to be in North America, and it deals with republic, like China Republic. Shenzhen is it's a major electronic manufacturing city that's only about 30 years old. There is Hong Kong, and then there's a mountain on the other side of the mountain. There is Shenzhen. Sorry, I may be butchering that name, but that is where major high-end electronics that are being manufactured there. That is an all electronic manufacturing city that had been cleared off. The mountain was cleared off, and that's where the city is, on this flattened surface. Now, when I'd spoken to this woman about Chinese New Year that's coming up, she had mentioned about there is a Chinese that had ended up on the Hawaiian Islands. So this actually goes back to the Hawaiian Tales of Hawaii project. And she's based in Lahaina, and she was talking about there are these two groups of Chinese, and the ones that ended up in Lahaina are the Cantonese. So what is, I did do this in another video, and that was Canton is here in Switzerland. It's like the equivalent to state. This is Zurich Canton, and here I live in Alfaltum am Albis. There's a city called Canton in upstate New York, and it is also, I think it starts with a C. So Cantonese, the Cantonese is a group of Chinese that were in southern China and fleeing. Now, on the island of Maui, there's Maui, and then on the slope of Haleakala is another group of Chinese called the Hakka. And the Hakka, what I brought up on this interview is that it appears that these people go to where they're familiar with. The Hakka are from the mountains, and the Cantonese are from down by on the lowlands or in near the water, right? So she was registering that information, and she said, "Yeah, that could be." I'm still editing that video. It's a really fun one that I got to engage in and really learn about myself as well. Um, so this thing about um, the Chinese and there being a faction, when we look at the Chinese who are in San Francisco, they are Cantonese speakers. Those Chinese who are on the Hawaiian Islands is a mix. You have the Cantonese, and you've got Hakka, and there may be others as well that I was only able to touch on these two because the woman in at Lahaina and her giving me information. She's actually also Cantonese, but her family had migrated to get away from to find more opportunities because things were very hard in the part of China where her family is from. And she ended up in Taiwan, or excuse me, not Taiwan, but in Thailand. So she speaks 5 languages. She's a very good resource to have. And I will actually be speaking to her again in March about the Kite Festival. Now, the interesting thing about this whole Chinese New Year that's happening and being celebrated on Lahaina is that this woman was asking for to have the Hawaii tourism be recognized and other organizations. Now, the Hawaii Tourism Authority, it's a state company, or is it a state company? It's a state organization. It's a state organization agency, and they promote tourism. So that's very interesting. Now, the only reason why I can sort of talk about this Chinese bit is between myself and my brothers, genetically, I'm closest to my brothers because we all have the same parents. So it's not fair for me to look at my mother, whom I only have half of her genes. So of my family, um, yeah, of my family, I'm the only girl, and then I've got brothers, and okay, perhaps it may or may not count, but my brothers, they all have hair on their legs. I don't shave my legs. I don't have hair on my legs, and um, that means there's a more dominant trait in me than that is more evident in my brothers. And so my best guess is that yes, I love the Chinese that happens to be hairless. Now, Jim Lee actually did this great, video. Let's see if I can find Jim Lee. Let's just go to some. Here we go. I think it was his last video that he did. And he was talking about China. Yep, here we go. So this is China's mind-blowing weather modification, geoengineering, and extremely low frequency transmitter projects. This is very well done. So So, well worth taking a look at Jim Lee's work, primarily because he's so thorough. It's like he has solid work and I trust it. It was in one of his other previous videos where he actually spoke about, if I can find it, yeah, here. Here he was talking about the radar Dopplers, let's see, steering hurricanes. So in here, I think I made a comment. Yeah. So the HARP creates a pulse that clears a column or a path for radiation to travel further. And that's the purpose, or one of the functions of HARP. Someone on the Small Love True channel had asked about that, and I was like, oh, that's right. Jim Lee had written or had reported on that. And so it's at 6:20.
Microwave facilitated atmospheric energy projected system. That's one. It sends a pulse that clears the way, and then you can send your microwave further. So it clears the scattering issues that might be. And what we're seeing, I can actually show you, we saw lasers coming out of another one in Texas, and then a plasma wave coming right over it.
And that's called laser channeling. So lasers can be used to steer lightning bolts. They can be used for many different purposes, but lightning will follow the path of least resistance. So if they put a laser bolt up in the sky, the lightning will follow that down. It's the same as putting a wire in the sky. So similarly, they can clear past in the sky with these electromagnetic radiations. What I looked into for NextRad specifically was something called pencil mode or test mode. And what it said was that if you fix the NextRad radar in a location, if it's not continually spinning, it should only be in this locked position for less than 5 minutes because atmospheric heat will occur. So if you create a column where you heat it up, with increasing heat comes an increasing pressure, basic science, you're creating a high pressure blocking thing by locking a NextRad radar beam on a fixated location and heating it repeatedly. But of course the wind is moving, so it's not a fixed location. So like,
the wind affects the laser?
Yeah. Well, this isn't even the laser. We're talking about the NextRad in this case. So they have what's called test mode, where they can lock it in one location, and you can see this all the day on the radars. You can go climbviewer.org, turn on NextRad. What you're going to see is, what you're going to see is that these radar beams, they should be spinning at all times, but for 5-10 hours straight, it's the same return. It's one big thick beam in this location. If that's the case, something nefarious is going on. Something weird is going on. The radar is spitting out images all day for the local people, but when I'm looking at it, it's fixed in one location and constantly firing.
Plus, have you noticed that sometimes you're in this?
So a lot of good information is found on Jim Lee's channel, and I just wanted to bring out what it is that I'm seeing about the Chinese. And that last video that Jim Lee had done about, let's see, the weather modification is significant. And it appears that the Republic of China is one faction. I really can't say with definitive information. I'm just sort of pointing out what's coming up as a red flag, and it's really important to recognize that there are factions among the labels that are put out, and I'm going to say, well, not all bad people. What I'm finding is that Tartary, Tibet, Jim Lee actually mentions Tibet as a plateau that has a whole setup. Now, who took over Tibet, or who gave it up? And we find that the Republic of China is on Tibetan's land, state. And it's kind of mind-blowing in terms of what I have put together or just been able to identify is that, is it possible that the Dalai Lama, who has access to all over the place and is featured like a major celebrity in various political, academic, finding himself up on a podium and talking about human rights, and he has a real mystical presence. He's able to make contact and influence others just by being himself. He's a hairless people. He's of the hairless people. And I'm still working it out on a gut level. It feels like anybody who can write so many books and be welcomed in many places and held in high regard in a public, on the media. They're like given special permission, as if they've been given special permission to be on the planet and to do what they're doing. Now, the Dalai Lama is also for self-immolation, which is where I did a video about how the Tibetans are here in Switzerland on, I should say, with a Chinese passport. Do the Tibetans have to pay taxes like the Chinese in spite of their being a stateless people? I haven't gotten an answer on that. Anyway, let me go back over here and see if I can see any more progress. Okay, I think this has gone long enough. I will be working on putting all together Tony Pantalleresco's last 4 podcasts. It's possible that tomorrow he'll have another to account for today's. And let's see. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into my routine. I'm actually having to clear out a lot of, well, that's actually for after Chinese New Year, February 5th. I'm still sort of sorting out the factions and trying to make sense, head or tails, with all the information that I've gathered. But I do want to say I had this incredible dream. I've had several dreams these past couple of weeks. One of the ones that stood out mainly is that there was like different situations where I'd seen something all, it's like a long line or a hallway. And in this hallway, children were being returned to their parents, and young children were being returned to their parents. And there was another part of this dream. It kind of was in a line. Okay, children are all being returned to their parents. Next thing, okay, so we have now all obligations were being forgiven. And then there was a next one. There was something with animals. There was something with animals, the entrapped animals. They to see it in a hall, it was more like out the window. And it was sort of when I woke up from the animals. I think that's sort of an unresolved issue, but it shouldn't be. So whatever it is, one is being pulled with passion to do, just keep doing it. Because good things are on its way. Okay? That's it for now. Smo Love True out.